What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Barca Breakdown. Today, we won against Bilbao 4-0 against our former manager, Valverde. And what went right in today's game was Xavi's decision to have four midfielders and also being able to open the pitch on the left side with Balde as well as Dembele on the right side, which had a great interplay with Sergio Roberto. And, I think he did a lot of things in this game to change up our former play, which I was really happy with.
Well, he's learned, right?
Yeah.
Is kind of what I'm thinking. Like, on the one hand, it does seem like in the last two games, right? I think last game we had Fati, Torres, Lewandowski playing. This game we had up front, Pedri technically is the left winger with Lewandowski and Dembele. And the bigger thing that Xavi has kind of learned is, hey, Rafinha, Dembele not working together, right? In all the games in this October from hell, he puts Rafinha on the bench. He starts Dembele. And then, like you said, he starts his four midfielders. We see Pedri, De Jong, Busquets, and Gavi. And, against the Bilbao team, and Frenkie, against the Bilbao team that is pressing high, it gave us, more men in the midfield that let us make some quick passes. And then, like you said, there were finally in this game some of that action from the left back and right back that we have been missing.
Roberto finally showing up offensively.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
On that second goal, Dembele gets the ball, and then Roberto makes a run. Dembele, with his great passing, he was on today, finds Roberto, who puts it away. And then, like you were talking about with Balde, in that for whole first half, right, you see him running up, you see him not only stopping Nico Williams defensively, but offensively being a threat from out wide, right? And sometimes when Rafinha is there, or even Ferran Torres at times, Balde is reserved to be a little bit farther back. In this game, he was way forward. And one of the things we've been talking about over the last 2 to 3 weeks here is that, Jordi Alba and Ferran Torres have a really good relationship along with Pedri on that left side. And so I was saying maybe we need to see them start together because at least they can create something on the left that has been, dead for the last 2 months with either Rafinha or Dembele over there. And today we saw, a possible new strategy, right?
Yeah.
Pedri in the half space, Balde pushing up on that wide side, getting balls in. And so I was very, very happy today, Yus.
Yeah, it kind of having Pedri up in that front spot, since he's not naturally occupying that space, allowed Balde to have more room to attack the box, which we saw on a few occasions. He dribbled past some of those players trying to create shots on goal, and I think we had 7 shots on goal, which is really good because we scored 4 of them, and our possession was out the roof for this game. I think that 4-man midfielder really opened the pitch, allowed Dembele a lot more space to move inward as well.
And that's the big thing, right? This is something we've been saying, especially in those 2 Inter Milan games where we lost and drew, is that Ousmane Dembele is so good. He's a bit mercurial, right? He has games like today where he's just on with 3 assists and a goal, I believe. And then he has games where, he doesn't create as much. But what Xavi needs to do as the manager and the surrounding cast around Dembele need to do is put him in a position so he is successful more often than not, right? And so what we saw today was a game where there were outlets. We were playing with Dembele on our team, not as Dembele is the offense, right? Kind of like we used to do with Messi. Like, no one is as good as Lionel Messi, the greatest player ever. So, of course, Dembele can't always create a rabbit out of his hat. But when we give Dembele the option to run with the ball, not having, that defense set up and where he has to try and be a hero, but instead he gets the ball in a transition. Sergio Roberto is making runs. Lewandowski is in the box as well as Gavi or Pedri. It opens the door for Dembele to create. And that's exactly what he did today.
Yeah, and Bilbao was not playing a low block, right? They were really playing football. They were trying to go at us. They were leaving open spaces too because they weren't just playing a very defensive game. Although they didn't have great possession, I think Valverde didn't set them up to win this game or even create a draw. They were very
They were trying to play, right? Yeah, it wasn't like with a lot of other La Liga teams that we've seen where they just sit behind the ball and want to hit on a counter. Though, of course, Bilbao always want to use, the Williams brothers' speed on the counters. They are really trying to press us high in the midfield and win the ball and then go, rather than, hope that one of our wingers does a bad cross and then hit us on the counter. And so they did kind of give us the defense that we do best at, right? When you think about this season, our best performances, last game was very good. This game was very good in the first half. And then you think about the game in Munich, right? Where unfortunately Pedri and Lewandowski didn't put the ball away, but we were playing against a Bayern team that wasn't just trying to sit back and have a low block. They were trying to play with us. And, we've been saying when teams want to play with us, that's when we're at our best, because that's when you get the speed of Dembele out and open. You get Lewandowski, moving around, creating 1 and 2s with other players. And so I think clearly for me, Dembele and Balde and Frenkie De Jong were the best in this game, right? We have, again, another game just like midweek where we start Frenkie De Jong, this time uniquely with Busquets, basically playing like as a double pivot. And we saw Frenkie just do a really good job, and he's growing as we all know he would, right? That was what was kind of so baffling about the season so far, is just how little continuity we've given Frenkie. He also got hurt for the Netherlands, and so I'm really excited to see the continuation of Xavi making changes and willing to, kind of throw out what he had thought was the best plan for the month of August and October and September. And now he's trying new things that are working out well so far.
But the only thing, or not the only thing about choosing a different lineup and trying different players in different positions is that I think he's given direction to maybe like Sergio Roberto to actually run forward, not do those backside passing. He's actually making a run forward, interplaying with Dembele, and we saw that was that second goal, Dembele to Roberto for the goal. But Roberto made the first pass at Dembele and then kept running. A lot of times we don't see that from him. He's not interplaying with him. He's just letting the ball up to Dembele, and then Dembele stuck in that spot. But today's game was very different. It seemed more offensively minded, and that happened with other players running into the box as well. I think on the Ferran Torres goal, we didn't just have Ferran Torres sitting in the front just by himself making that run. It was also, I think,
Frenkie got the ball to Dembele.
Exactly. So it's a very dynamic play style that's actually utilizing the players forward and playing with each other, not just, hey, here's the ball, go do something, right? And
I think it's going to be interesting to see. Like we've been talking about, right? We have Bayern Munich coming up this week, and we'll know early in the day if Inter Milan beat Pleasant, then we're out of the Champions League. But if they draw, we have a chance against the Bayern Munich team that is, a bit injured. But what's really important here is for us to see a continued stretch of these good performances. And, we kind of had this talk on our last video about, whether or not we were just playing well because it was a one-off, or whether or not there's going to be sustained success where we see Xavi make changes and the team react positively. And, hey, we got 2 games in a row that I think we're pretty happy with.
7 goals, no goals against us, which is really great.
Yeah.
And he's also able to utilize different players in different games, giving players rest. He took off Pedri in today's game, which was great. Unfortunately, Gavi got injured. But Xavi is able to try different lineups that are working because he's playing with the strengths of those lineups, right? Once he finds those 2 players that work well together on the left, like you said earlier, Ferran Torres and why's my brain?
Jordi
Alba, yeah. And then now we had a different lineup, Balde and Pedri in the front, right? It's great to see that dynamic choice that he has, because if we put out the same starting 11, Rafinha, Lewandowski, Dembele, Gavi, Pedri, Busquets, and the same back line, right? It's just the teams are going to figure us out. And we can't let that happen because, like you're saying, Bayern's coming up.
And we got to play Balde, right, instead of Alonso. Alonso has had a lot of those games as either like the left center back or as the left back against Inter Milan and against Bayern Munich. And Balde's really making the case for himself to get a good amount of minutes. And so I'm fairly confident here Xavi will start Balde against Bayern Munich.
I will say, though, our defense wasn't so tested in today's game, right? How many
Well,
shots?
but that's a great point you use. But part of it for me is that Koundé has just brought so much reassurance to this back line, right?
Yeah,
that's something that I have to say is like we were starting Christensen and Piqué and Eric Garcia and Alonso for, the month of October, all of our hardest games, unfortunately, when Araujo and Koundé were out. But now that Koundé's been back, he just brings a sense of assuredness that we don't see, right? Eric Garcia, who's had some high highs this season and low lows, you never feel assured, right, with him in the box in a big game because of his propensity to commit fouls for penalties, kind of like Lenglet a little bit. With Piqué, of course, he got just burned against Inter Milan, just doesn't know where he is. Christensen, we like a lot and has played very well defensively throughout the season, but he's been hurt. And so Koundé is really that guy without Araujo who just steps up and is that leader of the defense, and he had a wonderful performance today.
Just knows, in the center back position, he does a great job of controlling, and he also finds the room to push up in some parts of the game, and he did that in Bilbao, and that also adds, if we're not having to play a defensive game, push up, play that game, give the ball to Roberto or Dembele, and cause their defense to spread out more so that we can get Dembele in there. And it's just astounding that he was able to get 3 assists and a goal today, and that goal as a header just really shows what we can do if we give Dembele the tools to work with, right, and the support that he needs. Because players like Lewandowski, it's like a similar thing. You give him the service, he'll score a goal for you, right? Dembele is a similar position. You give him the ball in an open space, or you give him a good run or interplay, and he's going to make something for you. He doesn't have to play that touch line and just throw it across to maybe Lewandowski with 4 players around him, right?
Totally. And I think, in terms of one other good positive, right? Pablo Torre got his first minutes, I think, for Barca's first team the whole season.
I think he had a couple minutes in one late game, but
I mean, it's good to see him come in, right? He came on like the 75th minute, which was nice. Like you said, Xavi got hurt. He looks like he got kneed in the family jewels, as they call him. But the reports are saying that he is fine. He just has like a abductor issue.
No poo balls, you're like
no. But Kessie came in, and again, I think if we're looking at players who need to pick up their game, having seen Dembele the last 2 games look good, Frenkie De Jong looking good, Balde and Roberto looking good. I think the next player we really need to see grow into the season will be Kessie. I still think he has a lot to offer, but unfortunately, he just hasn't looked as good as all the hype was.
We've given a lot of players that have had similar performances a lot of time, right? Balde needed that time. Yeah. And now look where
you can't, I mean, you're 100% right. It's something I've been saying for like 3 months, right? It's like we need to move Kessie from just this guy we put on for the last 10 minutes of games to someone who can actually have some serious time on the pitch to grow and get better. And especially with, Xavi being hurt, with Pedri showing signs of wear and tear, and, again, like you said, glad we subbed him out. I think it's time for us to give Kessie a few games in a row of, 50, 60 minutes so that he can hopefully regain his form and confidence.
We're not going to have much time to do that, though, because the season is going to come to its international break right after the beginning of November for the World Cup. Yeah. So really, I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. But I like the trend that's happening. I was really worried that after those losses and draws in the Champions League and against Real Madrid, that we were going to get back into a lull right before the international break. But it seems like we've bounced back, which is really important.
Totally. Lewandowski again, right? The kind of the unsung hero who we don't talk about too often, had a wonderful goal turn and scored it, right? That was beautiful.
Ferran Torres.
Yeah,
dude.
Ferran Torres also gotten the ball.
Finally getting back into the groove of things, which I'm happy to see because we've talked, or we've been critical of him, right? He has been really adjusting his game, it seems like, and being able to come in and create something, even if it's not a goal by himself. I think in the last game he was able to assist Fati on his goal, and today he scored a wonderful turn goal like Lewandowski did. And it's, again, we're giving these players time to grow, and it's working out.
Yeah, I mean, all we can ask for is that listen, the cards are stacked against us in the Champions League, right? I have a feeling we're going to get into that Bayern Munich game. We're going to see Inter Milan beat Pleasant and know that the Europa League is our next fate. Okay, who cares, right? We just got to get used to it. But I think, like you said, I just want to see us continue to win out heading into the World Cup. And then who knows, right? Like Real Madrid, Barca, we both have a lot of players going to the World Cup. And, unfortunately, the sad truth is that it's going to put a lot of wear and tear on players, and there are going to be a lot of injuries in the second half of the season. Not that I'm hoping it happens to Madrid, and of course not hoping it happens to Barca, but it's going to be the starkest first versus second half of the season that we've seen probably ever in like La Liga, and so all we can do is continue to be better, get our players playing time, and pray that no one gets injured in the World Cup international break, and then hopefully we can compete for La Liga, right? It was doom and gloom after we allowed, 3 times the amount of goals against Real Madrid as we did in 7 games in La Liga before. But it is what it is. We're still fighting there. Real Madrid are still getting lucky with VAR and all these BS calls that they're getting because there were some BS calls against Sevilla yesterday. But we're just going to focus on ourselves. I'm happy, Yus, that Xavi has, figured out that his plan was not working and he made changes. Do I wish it happened a week or two before? Yes. Do I wish, Rajo, Koundé, blah, blah, blah. We have all these wishes about us still being in the Champions League. But, hey, we're doing the best with what we got, and I'm happy with how we responded.
It's all about the trend. And I think we're on there's going to be dips in any trend. As long as we're continuously going up, I think that's important. And, we're going to come against Bayern. Lewandowski has another chance. We're going to be at the Camp Nou. We should be able to come out with a good performance. Even if we draw them, I would be pretty happy. I think it just goes...
Well, unless Inter lose, because then...
That would be a different story.
We need the W. But let us know in the comments, who was your man of the match, favorite player today, besides... No, I'm just kidding. Including Dembele. Thank you all so much. We'll see you shortly.
Thanks, guys.